So I have been having a tough time lately. It feels like there's a lot getting piled on these days, and it feels like um, one of the underlying factors that drive my anger, since I struggle with anger, and I know that there are underlying factors. One of the underlying factors right now is fear, just fear more like stress and worry and not really knowing, as a detail oriented person that I am, how things are going to work out across the board in all sorts of different situations. So, anyways, I think that for me, I need to focus some time on what the Word of God says about fear and God's love. And so I want to try to do maybe like a few days, several days, where I just share the verse of the day that is helping me with fear and concern. And First John chapter 4, if you ever read it, is a really cool chapter. Starting in verse 7, talks about love. And to me, whenever I think about fear, I think of this verse. It says in verse 18, it says, "Such love has no fear, because perfect love expels all fear." And that phrase, God's love expels all my fears, is something that, or like casts out, I guess is the way that probably is in the NIV, because that's what sounds familiar to me. But God's love helps remove fear. So when I feel fear, it's a trigger to me, or a reminder, or a red flag, or whatever, that perhaps I am not focusing on God's love. And so I love the beginning, a little bit ahead of this verse. It talks in verse 16, it says, "God is love, and all who live in love live in God, and God lives in them. And as we live in God, our love grows more perfect." And love is something that I have to be intentional about experiencing, receiving. I struggle to understand it at times, and I let the details and the worry and the stress overcome me, and I lose sight of God's love and His provision and how much He has done for me. And so I really love that verse as a reminder of how awesome God is in His love. We need so much of God's love right now across the board in the world, and our God is big and powerful and so far beyond any issue that we could face, and we can rest in Him and His love. And so that's my prayer, to rest in God's love, to experience it, to receive it, to overflow it to others. And my prayer for you is that His love would fill you and help cast out any fear, anxiety, worry, stress, whatever it is you're feeling these days, that His love would overwhelm you, and that you would know that He has got you in the palm of His hand, just like He's got me in the palm of His hand, and I can trust that. All right, have a good night.